Hello and welcome to the Preacher Plays review of In Death. In Death is currently priced at $29.99 on the US store and £24.99 on the UK store. In Death puts you as a person stuck in purgatory, battling the way to try and get into heaven. But is this game heavenly, or should it be burned in hell? Let's find out. First up is graphics. The graphics in Death are surprisingly good, some of the best actually on PSVR. The textures are pin sharp, highly detailed, there's some really good particle effects, there's some excellent use of dynamic lighting, and overall lighting in dungeons looks fantastic. There's also some really good long view distances that don't get blurry at distance. There's very little aliasing going on, everything looks really sharp. I was very impressed despite everything that's going on in the game. Animations are also pretty good. You've got knights and zombies that'll jump at you and lunge at you, and overall I was very impressed with the graphics of this game. Next up, we've got gameplay. The gameplay of the game is to kill all of the enemies in the world and make your way throughout the dungeon. This is actually quite difficult because the hitboxes on the enemies are extremely precise, in which case you can miss very easily if you're even a fraction off. Throughout the game, you're supposed to unlock achievements, and each achievement you unlock will also unlock something in the game, whether it be a crossbow or a new enemy type, new different types of arrows like fire arrows, etc. for your weapon. At the end of each death, as in every time you die, you will get a kill count of all the enemies and you'll see which achievements you unlocked during that life, as dying is actually part of the game. Each level is completely randomly generated, which is due to the long loading times you'll notice at the beginning, and after every death the game will then load, but it may feel like it's taking its time, but it's because it's completely regenerating the level. Enemy placement, everything is totally unique. During the game you can unlock the crossbow, you unlock these types of new enemies, so you can get like these skeletons that will fly towards you, archers that fire quicker, knights with shields. You may find portals which will then take you to dungeons. These dungeons also have their own enemy types, such as this flying pig demon creature and this skeleton with a sword and a shield. Throughout the games, at certain random times when you kill enemies, they may drop pickups such as fire arrows, which will burn the enemy, slow you. You can also get ice arrows. You can get reloading of your quiver type arrows, so you can restock special arrow types. During the game you'll also find these towers which are known as reliquaries, and inside the reliquaries you can also manually upgrade your gear. You can get extra health, you can get needle arrows, etc. So you don't have to entirely rely on what gets dropped by the enemy. You can find these towers and you can buy them with the money that you collect from killing the enemies. The music in the game may be subtle, but what is there fits the scene perfectly, with it being gothic church type music. There may not be a huge amount of audio in the game, but what is there is actually pretty good. You've got the nice pull back creaking of the bow and the string as you pull the bow back to shoot the enemies. You also have an individual type of grunt or sound for each enemy type, so you have an idea of which enemy is hiding around the corner. Next up, controls. There are 3 different ways of moving throughout the game. First up, there's using a teleportation arrow. Secondly, there's also a glass shard that when thrown will teleport you to wherever you throw it. And the third option is smooth movement, which can be done by holding down the trigger on the right move. You can also use the dual shock to move around, but my favourite was using the moves because it gives you good bow control. And you can combine each one of these 3 different control methods. On the left move, if you hold the trigger, you will pull up a shield, and this can also be used kinda like a weapon to gain distance from enemies by smashing them back. There's also nothing so satisfying than dodging and blocking an arrow as it's fired at you by the enemy. This control scheme may seem convoluted, but once you get the hang of it, even when you're completely overwhelmed by enemies, it becomes second nature, and I had absolutely zero problems with the controls in this game. The tracking was also absolutely spot on, and it was perfect throughout my entire playthrough. In summary, In Death has quickly become one of my favourite games of this year, 2018. It is literally one of those games where when you die, you're just like, one more game, one more game. Everything's different every single time you play it. the better you get at the game and the more achievements you unlock, the harder the game actually gets. So the challenge just gets like more difficult and more difficult. So it kind of goes with you. So the more skill that you gain in the game, the more challenge the game offers you. I've never actually made it to the very end boss where you have to fight Gabriel, I believe, to get into heaven. The game is just that difficult. It's like the Dark Souls of the PSVR, and I love it. I totally recommend this game.